Mike McCarthy here, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, home of CEREC 27.5. We're going to continue our editorial review. This time we're joined by some new esteemed colleagues here, President of Sirona USA, Michael Loggins, and he'll be fielding some tough questions from, well, when it comes to dental technology and clinical authors, one name is synonymous, and that's Dr. Paul Feuerstein. He also happens to be the technology editor of Dental Economics as well. But Paul, thanks so much for joining us here.
I just want to say that I got my hair cut for this event and I put on a special new shirt just for you people.
We expected nothing less. Well, Paul, this is your time. What question? You've been experiencing the event. You've seen the Omnicam launch. What's on your mind?
Well, one of my biggest questions was, first of all, I want to congratulate you on this unbelievable, more than I expected piece of equipment. I didn't expect, I knew something was up, I had no idea
Thanks, Paul.
what it was going to be.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Congratulations. My biggest question is, how did you keep this a secret? You had so many people working on this thing, behind the scenes, you had people from Patterson, you had people in Bensheim, you had people here. How did you do that?
Death threats and photos that nobody wanted to make public.
It's tough. It's a challenge. There's a lot of people involved in that. There's a lot of moving parts. But if you work at Sirona, you have to demonstrate that you can keep the cone of silence, and it's one of the things we pride ourselves on to some degree. But it's a necessary thing in order to launch technology. It needs to be under wraps, and luckily it always feels like we kind of got away with something when we get to the launch date and nobody knows about it, and we were able to squeak another one in this time.
I mean, it was like a surprise party for a bunch of people. I mean, it was just astonishing.
That was a very polite way of saying they scared the hell out of us testers, because they threatened us. We had non-disclosures, and we made sure we understood the importance of it. We understand it's a publicly traded company, so it was very well communicated to us that we need to make sure.
Yeah, they're mild threats, Armin, just
Yes.
mild threats.
But good point, Armin. How exciting was it to be involved in that process at that stage?
I cannot tell you how happy I am today to finally be able to say the words Omnicam, to discuss it, talk about it amongst my colleagues. I've avoided making eye contact with people. I don't answer emails, phone calls. It's actually, I'm so relieved today. I can't tell you how refreshing it is.
Fantastic.
It's been building up for quite a few months, and to see it come to fruition too, it's very exciting.
Well,
fantastic.
Just going along this whole scene, as you were thinking of developing this system, you got a pool of ideas from somewhere, and I'm assuming many of them were from your end users. So first of all, how did you figure out which are the things that were the most important to incorporate? And wait, did you look at other systems that are in the marketplace and see, gee, maybe they could do something that we might not be able to do, or we should be able to do that, and vice versa? So how does this whole thing evolve?
What I would say is that for 27 years we've been leading the CAD/CAM market, and we've heard feedback from our customers over that time, and we really understood what they wanted from a camera. So we took into consideration what customers had been asking over their time, and we think that Omnicam meets each and every one of the core requirements that a customer has for CAD/CAM. We didn't really look at the competition because that's not what we had in mind. What we had in mind was something that was bigger and better, something that fulfilled everyone's needs.
Yeah, I would say, I would echo Michael's comments. I remember at CEREC 20th anniversary in Berlin, in particular, I remember we often do this, we have a session at the end of a users meeting where we ask people, what would be the things that you would want to change about the current system? And they listed off a lot of the usual things, but one of the resounding things that came out of that meeting at that time was to eliminate powder. And at that time, there really wasn't a viable technology out there which actually satisfied the requirement of eliminating powder and being highly precise. And when we brought out the Blue Cam, we increased the usability, we increased the precision, and we got it to a level where we said, well, look, if we ever go powder free, it has to be at that level of precision. We can't sacrifice the precision for that level of convenience. Of course, convenience is important, but in dentistry, precision is everything. And so when we finally came to market with this product, we were very delighted to achieve that elusive goal of marrying great usability with powder-free, but also maintain the Sirona standards that have been established in precision.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I have a question for you, Armin. Since you had a chance to actually work with this, all of a sudden you're seeing this unbelievable 3D intraoral camera in addition to doing what CEREC was designed to do. have you been able to incorporate that aspect into the practice in some way, where you're using it as a patient education tool, or helping even in diagnosis?
In diagnosis helped quite a bit. I'm still pretty insurance dependent. We're not on any PPOs, but most of my documentation now for the procedure I do comes from just a two-dimensional intraoral scanning from the camera. I'll take screen captures from what's provided there. And the one thing I want to add to this is I've been involved in the CEREC process for quite a long time, over 10 years now, and I helped Sirona beta test going from CEREC 3 to 3D, and that was a monumental advancement. We went from CEREC 3 to 3D, and I think this one trumps that. We saw a huge influx of users when it went from 3 to 3D as it became much more easier to use, but the level of accomplishment now going from CEREC 3D into this live capture powderless where we are with the Omnicam is just very exciting.
How amazing was it to me as I was watching the images unfold today, and I'm seeing amalgams in great detail, fracture lines in teeth, failing amalgams, failing composites, which I do with an intraoral camera, but in 3D, to me that's a remarkable sidebar of what I'm seeing here. Not to mention the accuracy, obviously, of seeing my preparations and the margins, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, to parlay off of that, one of the most incredible things, one of the biggest features is just that color differentiation. I would say for 50, 75 years in dentistry, our sole goal as dentists has been to separate the gum tissue from tooth structure so that the PVS material can flow into the sulcus and capture that, so when you have a stone model, you can see where the dye is. Well, I just do that now with color. Tooth structure is white, gum tissue is red, I know that's my margin. So I religiously use a laser or a cord in every single case, and I would say probably less than 40% of my cases now I need to bring out the laser or the cord, because just by color differentiation I can see where the margins are. And I can get hemostasis and I'm good to go. It's a very strange way to practice.
Wow, fantastic.
I have some corporate questions, but I want to keep going with Armin here. You've been on the forefront of doing implant surgery, guided surgery, incorporation with Galileos and the CEREC system, and how do you see, is this going to be an enhancement? Is it going to make it easier? Are there things in the pike from either of you with the Galileos integration now with this new CEREC cam as it does more things?
Well, the workflow is essentially the same, where you scan a dentulous area with the CEREC, whether it's the Blue Cam or the Omnicam. The Blue Cam is still a very viable, workable machine. So you scan the dentulous area, you design the placement of your restorations, and then you incorporate that into the cone beam data, and then you plot your implants to fit perfectly in the long axis of those desired restorations. And then you either mill the stent chair side or you get it fabricated remotely. So that workflow doesn't really change. It might be a little bit more efficient, but I wouldn't want to work any other way. I'd like to have the surgical stent to guide me in the process.
Absolutely, but don't you think the Omnicam enables you to take wider edentulous areas more easily?
Okay, I retract my statement.
Okay.
One of the most, thank you for that.
That was punny. That was really punny. I'm going to retract my statement. Yeah, that's good.
I am. So one of the things that's really strange for me again is when we did CEREC before, we just focused on hard tissue, but now it actually reads red soft tissue much more readily than it does hard tissue. So I haven't explored that yet. It's very new. The concept's very new, but we can easily scan soft tissue, and I'd be interested to see. I don't do many dentures. I don't know how to do dentures anymore, but if I can scan soft tissue and fabricate restorations that way, prosthesis or do the implant planning or have a stent that's seated on the palate and it's indexed and everything, I got you. That was a very nice lead-in
Are you saying you're actually going to do dentures again?
No, I don't think I went that far.
But I would say that with multi-unit implant cases, large edentulous gaps, I mean, there's just things that perhaps this camera will open up doors for.
Yeah.
I could see it with partial dentures, certainly.
Oh, yeah.
Partial denture frameworks, which are all being made digitally. And then just a simple question. Gail touched on this earlier, and I just want a little bit more feedback. We have users out there with probably some even with CEREC 3D sitting out there, but many have moved up to the 4.0, and they've recently got into the Blue Cam. How is the portal going to be for moving on to this next level? And is there anything that the users should know about what they should or shouldn't be doing, or what are you going to be doing with that part of the system?
One of the hallmarks of both Sirona and Patterson is that whenever we come out with a new technology, we create a path forward for our customers, and we take into account the investment that they have in our system, and we try and treat them fairly. In fact, for customers that recently upgraded during this summer's trade-in, it's actually cheaper to go through the trade-in process and have upgraded from red to blue and then all the way to Omni than it would be to gone just from red to Omni.
Nice.
And we purposely made it that way. So the price to go from red to blue this summer was $27,500, and the second step will also be $27,500. They'll get that blue cam this summer, and they'll be able to use that blue cam
For a whole
for
year.
as long as it takes until we can deliver Omnicam. And they'll have paid $55,000 to make that full transition. The price of the Omnicam is $63,995, but if you go from red directly to Omni, your price will be $60,000, and you'll have to wait till that's ready. So there was a much, much better deal to take advantage of this summer's trade-up than to have waited.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's correct. We structure the pricing that way because we recognize that transitioning technology is something you need to work with your user base on. They need to feel like they can participate and engage with the technology as it grows, and you need to provide an upgrade path for them. You know, when CEREC has over 14,000 customers in the United States and Canada, and we are in a position where we work with our user base to continue to promote the technology and drive the technology forward. And we need them to be able to transition from one generation to the next. That's why it's part of our business plan to help those customers move forward in a very economical way for them.
Well, I mean, when the question was posed directly to me, I said, I just bought a new cell phone. It's the best, latest and greatest smartphone, and next month, Samsung's going to come out with another one. I don't junk my cell phone that I'm using. It works perfectly fine. It's terrific.
Right.
Blue Cam works terrific. There's no reason not to use it. If you want the latest and greatest, you have that option to do it. I think that's my best analogy.
No, absolutely, and I think it's just like all technologies, whether it's personal computers or cell phones or automobiles for that matter. There's always a new model coming out, and there's some people that just have to have the latest and greatest, and we're going to accommodate them. And there's others that are going to wait and get as much use out of their current system, and there'll be an opportunity for them to transition forward. We want to be able to bring all of our customers along at the pace where they want to keep up with technology.
And I'd say the difference with consumer electronics is, you know, I've got an iPhone 4, and when the 5 comes out, I would love to trade mine in and get a credit for it towards the purchase of an iPhone 5, but I don't think Apple's going to do that for me.
Not gonna happen.
Well, Apple's not Sirona.
Oh, there you go.
And I think we have a lot of people to thank for that. But can't thank you enough, Dr. Paul Feuerstein, technology guru here at the hottest technology event on the planet.
Absolutely hottest.
Sure appreciate it. Paul, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Michael.
And
Thank you.
thank you, gentlemen. It's been a fun segment. We've got more to do. And our viewers at home and around the world, stay tuned. We're going to be back with more live from CEREC 27.5. Stay tuned.